It's another beautiful Sunday afternoon. This is Robin Minds. Welcome. My name is Ebuka Obiuche, and thanks a lot for joining us. A lot has been happening in the last couple of weeks, and one that I think has caught a lot of attention across Nigeria has been the de-radicalization and integration of insurgents in Nigeria, speaking particularly about the Boko Haram. We heard that a lot of them have become repentant, and there's talk about reintegrating them into society and all of that. And it's been quite controversial. Many people are not sure what that means. There's people who don't think it's a good idea. There's people who believe that's a way to draw the terrorists out of, you know, whatever it is they're doing and get back to their normal lives. But we're going to be talking about that, and I have here with me one of our regulars, Nnamdi Anekwe. Thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
What are your thoughts on this first generally? Because, like I said, there's two sides to it, which is the government says, I mean, if you give them an incentive, they probably will stop doing or stop being radical and focus less on terrorism. But there's the other side of the argument, isn't it? What's your take on it?
Well, I think the government is trying to put the cart before the horse. You don't embark on a program of this magnitude when you are still in the middle of a warfare. In any case, there are two approaches or some ways you can de-radicalize terrorists or people who you found to be radicalized. You have the soft approach and you have the hard approach. I've researched on this for a while. What the Nigerian government is trying to do is to waste resources in the middle of a warfare. You have victims, you have the displaced persons all over the place. The resources you are using to de-radicalize these people ought to be channeled towards trying to, cater to the needs of the victims. Now, talking about the approaches that I mentioned, the military is in charge of this program. And research has shown that using the hard approach to de-radicalize terrorists is not an effective method of trying to convert radicalized individuals. You have countries that have done the radicalization using the soft approach, such as Saudi Arabia, such as the Malaysian government, and also in Europe you have the Danish government. Using a soft approach to de-radicalize individuals, you need to have the communities buy-in. The community leaders has to be involved. The elders in the community, the Islamic clerics. You need to have a community-driven approach to trying to reintegrate these people. You don't just take hundreds or thousands of people that are skilled, maimed citizens, and you lock them up somewhere, and you try to, make them go through some school of thought, so that at the end of the day, they will not come to, start carrying out terrorist activities.
So sorry, just to cut you in there, because how do we handle a situation like this now, where, hypothetically speaking, we have 100 people who say, oh, I was a Boko Haram insurgent in the past, but now I'm done with that life and I'm surrendering. So what do you do with a person like that? Do you arrest and prosecute? And doesn't that drive away more people who probably would have been incentivized to come forward and do the same thing?
Well,
how do we handle a situation like that?
The military has a branch, the military intelligence. For me, I would advocate that you arrest these persons and put them away, and you try to debrief them. That's what you call debriefing in a military or intelligence balance. You debrief these people and you try to get as much information from them as possible. You don't just take them, lock them away, and make them to go through a school where you are telling us that you are trying to de-radicalize them, and at the end of the day, you release them into the society. It's not done that way. You put these people away and let them be under a doctrinal training somewhere until you're able to figure out what you are going to do with them after the war. You can't just carry out such an enterprise during the middle of the war. I said something about involving the community leaders. If, for instance, we have hundreds of youths from a particular community who are terrorists, the normal approach should be that you involve the society, you involve the the victims, you involve the elders, you involve the Islamic clerics within that community. You try to build up the self-esteem of these people. You try to, try to reconcile them with the community. You don't lock them up somewhere, and at the end of the day, you release them into the society. Of course, if 100 people come to you, like I said, you put them away somewhere, you try to collect as much intelligence as possible, and you try to parley with them as long as you lock them away somewhere, and you use whatever information they are giving you to prosecute the war. Of course, you are going to make them a promise. You are going to, in the course of debriefing, you are going to use intelligence techniques to make them volunteer information that they will not ordinarily want to give you. So at the end of the day, you can use that information to prosecute your war. Until the insurgency is finished, that's when I believe you can use a soft approach to de-radicalization to bring these people into the society.
So there's talk about a bill that was passed or that was proposed at the Senate about an agency. I'm not sure what this agency is supposed to be and under what maybe agency or ministry it's supposed to be under, maybe the Ministry of Defense, I don't know. But what does an agency like that entail? I don't know if you've seen any parts of the bill that's proposed. And because if there's an agency, it's going to be something permanent.
Yes.
Most people thought it was something temporary to just get these people out, but it looks like it's something that's going to be a part of government going forward. How does that sit with you as well, seeing as it's something that could be institutionalized?
The default approach of the National Assembly or some of our politicians, the default approach to responding to crises is to create agencies. We have thousands of agencies. We have the Northeast Development Commission that could cater to some aspects of the bill. We have the presidential initiative on the development of... We have all kinds of commissions and committees that can look at the aspects of the bill and incorporate it into their mandate. You don't need an agency to rehabilitate. The war is not ended. When the Civil War ended, Gowon started the rehabilitation, the reconciliation part of trying to bring the Southeast into the Nigerian state. So let's say 1968, Gowon started it, and people that are waging war against you are trying to also, provide incentives for them. So my take is, it's just a waste of resources. It's just a waste of money. It's a waste of initiative. And I also appreciate one of the senators from Borno State. He's against the bill. These resources that we are talking about, this bill that we are talking, we should be talking about the victims. What are we doing for these victims of the Boko Haram terrorists? What are we even doing for the soldiers that are losing their lives? What are the government's responsibility towards the widows, towards the orphans? So it's just a waste of, for me, just a waste of resources and time that we are talking about an agency for repentant Boko Haram. We should wait until the war is ended, then we can start talking about reconciliation.
The people who make the argument that this has kind of worked in the past, even if not completely. We remember when President Yar'Adua started this with militancy in the Niger Delta, where militants who were repentant as well. We saw long queues back in the day of them dropping their guns and surrendering. Some of them got scholarships to go study abroad. Even some of them got monthly stipends, depending on what sort of thing you qualified for. And that seemed to sort of quell things a bit in the South at the time. Why is that any different now? Why is there so much of an uproar?
Well, I'm happy you brought up the Niger Delta. Now, look at the case of the Niger Delta. The community leaders were involved in talking to the leaders, the commanders of the Niger Delta militants across board. Some of the prominent leaders, you talk about government Polo, if I get the name correct, that's Tom Polo. You talk about General Boylu, who is in Abuja, who is a very serious businessman. So the Nigerian government targeted their leaders, targeted the elders of the community, brought everybody at the same table and made proposals to them. And they accepted amnesty. And they started dropping their weapons and they went into rehabilitation. That's when the oil started flowing. But in this case of Boko Haram, you don't know who are their leaders, who are the commanders in the northeast, who are the emirs. The Abu Shekau, who is leading a faction of the insurgency, you don't even have access to him. You have not even spoken to him to say, okay, has he agreed that? So it's an entirely different matter when you are bringing up the Niger Delta amnesty process is an entirely different. They ended their insurgency against the Nigerian state, dropped their weapons, and rehabilitation and reconciliation and integration was provided for them. But in the Northeast, we don't still have that condition in place. All you have, for me, all I care is some of these people that are being rehabilitated, once you release them into the society, they could become sleeper cells. They could become, feeding information to the commanders, to the Shekau-led or the ISWAP-led groups in the Northeast. So I do not buy the idea of trying to de-radicalize in the middle of an insurgency. You have to end the insurgency. Then those that have surrendered their weapons, you start a soft approach in trying to de-radicalize them and bring them to the society.
You don't sound like you have a lot of confidence in our intelligence. Because if you're saying that people who are surrendered, who are trying to be integrated, could still feed back information, are you saying intelligence are not hands-on with, with those who they are trying to reintegrate?
De-radicalize? Countries that have handled the radicalization program, they've had mixed success. You have some that have gone back to the battlefield. You have some that have repented truly. Now, what I'm saying is, our military has the capacity also to deploy counter-terrorist, counter-intelligence measures against them. But I reiterate again that you do not try to bring out these people from the war front when the war is still raging. The victims that the people that they've assaulted, the people that they've rendered homeless, people that they've rendered orphans, they've destroyed communities. The communities has to be involved in trying to reconcile these citizens back to the society. If the community is not involved, then you have not started that aspect of trying to de-radicalize them. What if you release some of them into the society and the community starts fighting back? That, is an area the government should look at. Suspend the de-radicalization program, channel your resources towards ending the insurgency, and at the end of the day, bring in the various communities to partner with you and de-radicalize individuals who have surrendered.
There's a lot of talk that's been going on about, the fact that our service chiefs have been in place for going on 5 years now, probably the longest run we've had by a large amount, by a lot of people. We've had all four of them be in position since, I think, President Buhari came into power. And a lot of people are wondering, at what point do we need new blood? But they're trying to, I guess, things like this are supposed to be their new ways of fighting this. First of all, it's a two-part question. Do you think it's time for them to go? And secondly, who is this on? Is this on the Senate or is this on the presidency?
Well, for me, the service chiefs, when they started, they were very fantastic, The chiefs relocated to the Northeast. They set up a central command, trying to oversee the war. General Burtai, everybody, General Abubakar, the Air Force, they were always in the war front, encouraging the soldiers, deploying resources, trying to counter the insurgency. But it's not like they've run out of ideas. The insurgency presents a unique challenge and try to test some of the strategies that they often deploy. And if some of those strategies are no longer working, I feel that they should, on their own, because they serve at the pleasure of Mr. President. They cannot resign on their own. So whatever that is currently going on, they might be trying to reevaluate their strategies, because one thing I know about, I studied the pre-election offensive against the Boko Haram insurgency when Jonathan was still in power. There was an effect, the 2 weeks or the 3 weeks offensive, using the doctrine of relentless pursuit, that trying to tackle the insurgency or the insurgents 24/7 wherever they are. But the strategy being deployed by the military by setting up super camps, that's setting up bases and trying to operate from those bases, have not really been effective. So I feel that in as much as they are still serving for this long, they need to collate information and try to bring in a new strategy to try to come, because every day we keep hearing that Boko Haram is striking in communities, in vulnerable communities. So the military, the service chiefs ought to look at their plans. If the Air Force and the Army are working together, I believe they can always be able to counter some of these acts of sporadic attacks in some of these places. You know, coming to your second question, it's not on the Senate to sack the service chiefs. Like I said, they serve at the pleasure of the president. The onus is on the president to call for their resignation or to change them whenever he is convinced that they are no longer effective. But for now, I think that he still has their confidence in them to deliver on the strategy. But Nigerians are crying out that the strategy is not working. So I feel that the service chiefs should go to the back to the drawing board and come up with a different tactics, strategy, and doctrine against the insurgents.
On a final note, I mean, Nigeria will be turning 60 this year. Very mature man, indeed. What are your expectations? What should we be looking forward to? What do you want to see the government do different this year with regards to security?
Well, I'm very partisan when it comes to trying to criticize the APC government, because they campaigned on 3 issues. Number 1, to tackle security. Number 2, the economy. Number 3, to fight corruption. Then when you look at security, you know, I supported Jonathan. I have to declare my allegiance. But one confidence I had in President Buhari's government was the aspect of security, because he's coming from a security background. I was telling people that he will be able to ask the right questions. You know, you cannot tell him because he has been there. But when I look at not even the insurgency this time, the issue of the banditry, places like Niger State that has no such issues before, the banditry in Kaduna State, the police was using, I commend the Nigerian police, 2 weeks ago they were in Birnin-Gwari trying to dislodge the bandits and the Ansaru terrorist network in that area. So I feel very concerned about insecurity. And one thing the government has to do, I've always called for the establishment of a special force division. You know, this is a specialized war. It's not an infantry war. No. You know, it's not like the kind of war we fought in Liberia and Sierra Leone. This is a specialized warfare. So I feel that the 7th Division in Borno State should be converted to a special forces division. The Indians have it. The United States have a unit called the Special Joint Operations Command. So my advice to government is to look at this war from a specialist point of view. These insurgents, they live within the community. They can strike anywhere because you don't know who they are. So we should deploy counter-terrorist, counter-intelligence measures against them, and we should also deploy an effective counter-terrorist operations. Tackle the banditry, tackle the insurgency that is ravaging the entire northeast and the entire northwest, so that it does not, the spillovers cannot start coming to the south or the southwest. You know, because all over the country, everybody is talking about insecurity, leading to the cry for establishment of, you know, paramilitary forces by the regions. So I think between now and when we clock 60, we should look at reforming the security services.
Well, thank you very much, Nnamdi. It's an ongoing conversation. Hopefully we'll see more, I want to say, ginger.
Of course.
From the government as well, yeah. Because lives are very important.
Exactly.
Nigerians very safe. We'll take a break now and be right back. Please don't go away.